Welcome to the Bombshell Business Podcast, where driven fempreneurs learn how to become more bold, brave, and unwaveringly confident. Turn your dreams into actionable, marketable, and profitable plans and make your business irresistible.
Welcome to the Bombshell Business Podcast. This is your host, Amber Hurdle, and you are listening to episode number 20. I want to first start by giving a couple shout outs to two amazing listeners. So first, I want to thank Sarah from Simply Sarah Florals for letting me know you kicked off your Bombshell Business Podcast listening experience via binge listening. That's pretty much how I like to consume information. I'm pretty good at hyper-focusing and really zoning in on exactly what it is that I want to learn. So I appreciate that. You rock, Sarah, and anyone in my everyday life can tell you that I am pretty obsessed with flowers. So excuse me, I'm still recovering from that stupid cold, y'all. So anybody listening, I want you to go find Sarah on Etsy, Simply Sarah Florals, and you can find amazing quality silk flowers there. So she has a flower head business, and if you don't know what that is, I just would encourage you to go check it out. If you think there is not a business for you, she is someone to look at and see how maybe the less obvious business might be the business for you, because she actually sells to people who make things from her flower heads and then sells those. So she's not really even she's not selling to the end user. She is more of a supplier. And I just think that was really cool. And I appreciate you sharing your business with me and giving me a chance to check it out. So everybody else go onto Etsy, see Simply Sarah Florals. And then I'd also like to give out a shout out to Haley Ryan, I think is how to say it. I'm going to try to Haley Ryan. She says in her podcast review here on iTunes, she says, absolutely love this podcast, and I've only listened to 2 so far. Love your delivery and just how real you come off. It feels like we're having a real conversation that is engaging, filled with amazing value, and very applicable in so many ways. So glad you liked one of my Instagram posts, leading me to check your podcast out. Definitely sharing with all my fempreneurs out there with 3 sparkly hearts and a kissy face emoticon. So that's awesome and super encouraging. I do try to keep it real. There's no point in me coming on here and try to be Miss Fancy Pants. We've got some business to take care of. So thank you so much for that. And sharing that with the world. When you do leave a rating and review on iTunes, it helps other females and males because, I do have my bombshell boys just see the value in what it is that I'm trying to share with you. This is absolutely free. I make 0 money off of it. I'm not trying to get sponsorships or anything. I just want to help you. And I know not everybody has access to me. So I appreciate you for sharing that with people who are looking on and maybe trying to figure out, why should I listen to this podcast? Okay, so now I've been all nice and sweet, and I'm very grateful for those of you who are loyal listeners and who have reached out to me. And now I'm going to be, I'm bringing out the velvet machete. I am pretty disgusted in general and have had 3 unique experiences that have just kind of made me lose faith in leadership. And so today we are going to talk about leadership in everyday life. And I have some expectations, and I want to share some stories with you. So here we go. First of all, the election. Oh my gosh, I know. Let's not even talk about it, but we have to, because we had 2 candidates that really nobody wanted. And then we were like, what the heck at the end, right? So what happened? I just want to encourage you, first of all, that you don't have to be in a high-profile leadership role in order to lead people or ideas. You are a leader in all areas of your life every single day. It's up to all of us. So today I'm going to cover the high-level situation, a local situation, and then a more personal situation that I've observed and accidentally participated in. And then I want to talk about how we can all apply leadership to our everyday lives. And I'm going to do everything in my power. I was just talking about this with somebody earlier today, but I'm going to do everything in my power not to cuss, because there's some straight talk coming, and I know your babies might be in the back seat, or maybe they're at the kitchen table while this is playing. Maybe you're listening in the kitchen, or maybe it's just in your earbuds and you just don't want to hear my potty mouth. But I do love Jesus, and I also cuss a little, and I do try to make this show a clean show. I'm just going to put out a little fair warning. And Don, I don't know if you have like one of those beepy things. Don Bates is the audio engineer who's amazing. And so if you have some of those beepy things, this might be a good time to pull those out. I'm not sure. I'll try my best. Okay, so back to the presidential election. I didn't like either option either. I'm just going to say it. And you're like, oh my gosh, Amber's going to talk about politics. Yeah, I am. So here's what I did to prepare. I listened to both of their books. So I got their, books on Audible, and really genuinely listened to, how they were trying to present their ideas. And then as it got closer to the election, I genuinely, literally got physically ill to think this is our future. I did vote, and I'm not even going to say how I voted, but I made a choice to vote because it's my right and my privilege, even though I did not like either of the primary candidates. The thing is, though, it was not just a choice between two candidates. First of all, there are other candidates that you could have used your vote to either support or use as a protest. You could have used your vote as a write-in, even though it wouldn't have counted, because, little fun fact, if you were not a candidate in every county in the state, then you couldn't possibly be a candidate in the state. So there's some things like that, but you could have used it as a protest vote, right? And going into the booth to cast your vote shows that you have participated in the process. Now, when we all take a step back and we see, okay, X percent voted third party, so now that legitimizes this third party, gives them a platform that gives them funds, it gives them the ability to participate in the big debates. There was an option there. Now, I'm not saying I'm third party or pro third party. I'm just saying that was an option. If there would have been a groundswell of people who are like Mickey Mouse for president, that would have been a statement, but you could have taken action in some way. So now that I voted, I have confidence that I can fuss all that I want to. And here's the part of leadership that is breaking down for me. This is the part that has me on a rant in this particular space. Now, remember, I have three points here, but this is the biggest one. I voted. So if you put a camera in my face and a microphone in my face and ask me my opinion, I feel absolutely confident in giving you that opinion. And if I don't like the person in power, no matter who that is, no matter what side of the coin they're on, I know that I did what I was supposed to do as a citizen of this country. From a leadership position, I used my vote, I casted it, and I can fuss and piss and moan about whatever it is that I want to. If you did not vote, and then you go out there and you protest, sit your you-know-what down. I'm sorry. Sit down. All the puppies and all the safe places are not going to erase the fact that you did not stand up and do your civic duty. You did not step into leadership. You just sat there and said, oh my gosh, somebody I don't like won. Somebody I don't like is running against somebody else I don't like. Okay, that was a terrible situation that the United States got put in, but what got us there? That is my question. How did two people that nobody like get into the final ballot? How did that happen? It's because people did not take it seriously very early on, and we have fallen asleep as a country, and we have asked everybody to do all of our bidding for us. We have just let other people make decisions for us, and instead of along the way using the tools that we have as citizens to cast our votes, we just sat back and watched. And now we're in the position that we're in. We were in the position that we were in by just having two candidates that frankly nobody cared about. So if you're a diehard Trump supporter, good for you. If you're a diehard Hillary supporter, good for you. If you are, I don't like either of those candidates, good for you. I am certainly not telling anybody who they should or should not vote for. And I don't think anybody is a racist or a misogynist or a pantsuit or anything. If you believe in what a particular candidate can do for this country, I fully support you. But if you didn't go out and use the one resource that you had to say, I am for this person or I'm against this person, shame on you. You didn't step up. And you should have spoke up a long, long time ago, else we would not have been in the mess that we were in this particular election. Okay, rant number 1, the end. Moving on to rant number 2. Locally. And I know I'm still on politics, but I'm just going to have to sit here for a second. If you own a home or if you own a business in your city, I'm sorry, but you're in politics. So don't tell me that you aren't political. If you have an interest in how your community is or is not growing, how much you pay in taxes or don't pay in taxes, how the schools are managed, how the roads are built. If you have any interest in that at all, then you are interested in politics because it's the political system that navigates those decisions through government. So here's my gripe. I go to a city council meeting. There's something that was happening within my city, and I was uber dog sick. I've talked about being sick on this podcast. I was in bed for basically 2 weeks. And the very day that the city council meeting was up to talk about something that I was very passionate about, I finally went to my doctor, shout out Dr. G, and he was like, you need to get back in bed. And I was like, I was in bed all last week, but I'm really, really interested in this topic tonight at city council. So can you give me a city council pass? And then I promise I'll get back in bed. So he agreed to that. I had 3 viruses, infection, and bronchitis. And I had this nasty big old fever blister that manifested on my lip, and I had one underneath my nose. It was funky, nasty, y'all. I barely had any makeup on. I showed up to this council meeting with a top knot, leggings, and a tunic and my glasses on. And I had literally been in bed for a week and a half and just left the doctor's office just a couple hours before I went and laid down and then got my butt up and went to the city council meeting. And once I got there and I realized what all I went through to ensure that I got to say what I thought about the issue at hand, somebody else got up and then tried to reference Facebook posts as his evidence against what it was that I thought. Now, if dude would have walked in and said, here's what I think, I feel very passionately about this, high five to you, brother. I mean, if you have an opinion and you show up and you're engaged and you're informed and you talk about what it is that you do or do not want for your city, super cyber fist bump to you. But do not talk about what people are saying on Facebook. Because you know what? Those people on Facebook didn't show up with bronchitis, 3 viruses, a nasty, blister on their mouth. They were not engaged enough to show up. All they could do, just like every Trump supporter, just like all the Hillary supporters, just like everybody else, did they really go out and vote? Did they really show up to the city council meeting? Did they really even email their city councilman? Did they call up to the city to talk about what was in the budget versus not in the budget? Did they bother to write a letter to the editor? No, they just squawked on Facebook. That doesn't even count. I'm sorry. If you want to express yourself on Facebook, good on you. That's fine. If that is your outlet, go for it. That's a great way that we can participate in public discourse. We are all not riding up to the town square and standing on our soapboxes debating anymore. That's just not how the world works. So Facebook is a great platform for discussion, exchanging ideas, for debate, and all those kind of things. But if you limit your participation in what's going on around you in your society, in your local community, or even at the national level, and what you're limiting your participation to fussing on Facebook, sit your butt down. Time to grow a pair and get out there and do something about your community. When he said, oh, there's a bunch of people on Facebook who said this, I thought, why are we even talking about that? They're not here. They don't know the facts. They haven't been engaged. They haven't shown up. They don't know anything. All they're doing is hearing something on Facebook or reading something on Facebook and fussing about it. If that is what you're doing right now, sister, grow up. Okay, rant number 2. You are lacking in leadership if all you do is fuss on Facebook. You are lacking in leadership if you do not participate in the process. And if you're not a warrior personality like me, girl, I get it. It's fine. You do not have to show up and speak in front of a bunch of people. That's what I do. I don't care. I could talk to one person or I could talk to 1 million people. It doesn't make a hill of beans difference to me. However, you can write your city council member. You can write your state representative. You can write your state senator. You could write a letter to the editor of your local newspaper. You could call up to the city. You can make an appointment with somebody who oversees that department within your community. You can show up and just listen to a city council or a city school or a county school board meeting. You can go to a county commissioner meeting. These are all very public meetings. You don't even have to talk. You could just show up and ask. Most of the time, you can watch this stuff on your computer. You sign up for every single webinar that ever was to help you learn how to market your business, but you don't care what's happening in the community where your business holds a business license. That's just crazy to me. It's time to step up, okay? Step 1 in leadership. Use the tools that are given to you in order to participate in the world around you. Step 2, participate in what's going on locally in whatever way works for you and whatever way elevates the gifts that you have and your comfort level, but participate. Okay, number 3. And I'm sorry, y'all, but this past week was rough. I was sick. And these things are all happening, and I'm watching these protesters on TV, and then they say, well, who did you vote for? Well, I didn't vote. I just wanted to punch them in the throat. Are you kidding me? And then I show up to that city council meeting and heard all that garbage, and then I went grocery shopping. You would think that grocery shopping would just be a simple little activity that you do for the week to prepare your family to have nourishing edibles for the week, right? No. Not when I go to the grocery store. No. This has to happen. And of course, I couldn't help myself. So here we go. I'm checking out at the local grocery store. And I hear this man fussing behind me. And you could tell he was upset that there was some signage that was supposed to be there in his mind that wasn't there. And, you know, I can't say that I've never shown up and told the checkout person what I was dissatisfied with, knowing that they absolutely have zero control over the situation, but at least they could pass it on, right? So I am no innocent person. Everybody has a bad day. So I didn't think anything of it. Well, it just kept getting louder. And it finally got to the point where I turned around and realized that this man checking out was browbeating the checkout guy, teenager, maybe young adult, but likely a teenager, browbeating this kid. Any way you slice it, I have 2 kids over the age of 20, so I have the right to call him a kid. He was browbeating this kid over a sign that he thought should be there. And the kid did not argue back. He was very respectful, and he just kept going on and on and on. And the store was packed, and nobody in his line said anything to this man who was really being ugly. Now, y'all, I'm not a sensitive person. I am not a soft person. I have pretty darn thick skin. It bothered me. It bothered my spirit to hear how this man was speaking to this individual. So I'm sorry. I have red hair. It just happens. I turned around and I said, do you think you're really getting anywhere with your dissatisfaction by talking to the hourly person who is bagging your groceries instead of the management whose decision-making is reflected in what signs get put up and not put up? And he looked at me and told me to mind my own business. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I have been shopping here since I was 16 years old using my own money. And I shop here every week. And that young man bags my groceries. So I find this to be my business. And I think you need to take your issue up with management instead of getting upset with this young man. He carried on a little bit more. I responded with, why don't you just be happy that this young man has a job and has shown up and he comes here every single day to serve us as customers and is a responsible young man instead of going out and avoiding jerks like you and doing whatever he wants to do instead of showing up and creating income for himself. You should be appreciative of this young man instead of how you're talking to him. So that kind of shut him up. We didn't have further discussion after that. I didn't know if he went left, right, or whatever. I got my groceries. The woman who checked me out thanked me for sticking up for him. I was honestly appalled that I was the only one. And there were absolutely at least 7 people in every single line. I was just appalled that it was left to one person, again, sick, an aisle over, to stick up for this kid. What is wrong with people? Who watches this happen and just say it's okay? And especially in my community, we're a tight-knit community. We look out for each other. I was so disappointed. So I'm walking out to my car, and I open up my trunk and start to put my groceries up because this gentleman, this young man who does bag groceries, did come over and ask me if he could help me carry my groceries to the car. And I said, no, I needed the workout because Lord knows I hadn't been in the gym because I'd been sick. And so he kind of laughed, and it was nice of him that he especially came over to offer that to me after I'd taken up for him. But anyway, so I'm going out and I'm pushing my own groceries out, putting them in the car. You know, in this day and age, you just never know. I could have gotten shot. Who knows? Dude could have been crazy. You just never know in this day. But I felt compelled enough to stick up for him. So dude comes out and shouts across the parking lot, "Hey, redhead." Must be me. So I turn around and he says, "You need to mind your own business, Red." And I just looked at him and I smiled and I said, "That's probably never going to happen. Have a very Merry Christmas." And I smiled, and then I got in my car and I just sat so disappointed in that man, in how he spoke to another human being, let alone somebody who is standing there serving him, the lack of leadership that he has, and then the lack of leadership in everybody around me. That is not okay behavior. And when you see not okay behavior around you, you need to stick up for somebody. You need to speak on behalf of those who cannot speak for themselves. That young man was not able to stand up for himself because that was his place of employment and that man was a customer. But all the people surrounding him could have said something, and they chose not to. And that happens more often than not. If you see a child that looks like maybe they're in trouble, it's probably because they're in trouble. If you see somebody picking a fight with somebody, it's time to step in. And I realize, again, that we live in a crazy world, and you just never know exactly what's going to happen. But what happens if you do nothing? I guess that's my question. If you do nothing, what happens next? What happens to that grocery bagger? What's the rest of his life like? I don't know anything about him. I just know that it's not okay for one human being to speak to another human being like that. So I challenge you, if somebody's being bullied at school, that you step in. If you see that something's not right with your neighbor, that you step in. That is just respect for humanity. That is taking up for each other. So whether it's at the national level in the presidential election and actually participating and not just saying, "Oh, my vote doesn't count, it's such a big deal." Okay, you know what? It is a big deal. And it's a really big deal if you don't participate, because look what happened this time. Just look what happened. Nobody liked what we got. And that's because people are sitting on their doing not a dang thing. And at the local political level, if you don't want to stand up and speak in front of everybody at City Hall, that's cool, but write to somebody. Make some kind of action towards what it is that you want. Step into a leadership role in some way, whether that's a quiet way or a bold way. Leadership is leadership. Leadership is just having people buy into your ideas. That's it. And so however you do that is okay for you, but just do it. And then in your everyday life, I want you to be bold and consider what you know to be true and what you know to be right. Carry those values. We talked about values for your business very early on in these podcast episodes, and you're welcome to go back and listen to that. But if something around you is threatening your values, talking about it on Facebook is not going to change anything. Taking action in the moment, in the situation, and commanding attention and defending those values is what is going to help shape our society. Because when you get at that national level and you want to complain, oh, America's going to heck in a handbag, well, guess where it starts? It starts in your backyard. And guess where there's way more power? In your backyard. Your local community, how you treat each other every single day, how you treat your neighbor, how you treat the person next to you on the bus or the train, or how you treat people at the grocery store. That's where America starts. That's where leadership starts. And so that's my encouragement to you. I want you to stop it, or stop your friends. I want you to stop it with the keyboard warrior crap. If you have an opinion on Facebook and it ain't going to fix anything for you, no matter how many likes you get, I want you to get out into the world. I want you to use the avenues that are available to make your voice not only be heard, but be counted. I don't want you to wait for someone else to fix what is wrong in your opinion. I want you to actually be the solution. And for heaven's sake, don't let life happen to you. Go out and make life happen. Okay, that's the end of this rant. I know this whole episode was a rant, but it really is. It's about leadership, and that's what I want from you. I expect all of you to step up and stand out in 2017. This is preparation for getting ready for the new year. I was going to pepper in here at the end. I have in my notes that I was going to talk to you about working with me in 2017 and my consulting services and all that jazz. But, I don't want to take attention away from my rant. I want you to, when you stop listening to this, I want you to really think about your role and how you are or are not leading in your everyday life. And if you're a bombshell, a true, bold, brave, and unwaveringly confident fempreneur, then you're a leader. And so my challenge to you is always step up to that responsibility and that privilege. Now, do you agree or do you disagree? Do you still like me? Did I hit a button? Did I offend you? Do you absolutely think that I was on point? Shoot me an email, amber@amberhurdle.com. Tell me your thoughts or leave a comment in the show notes. And that's it, ladies. I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Bombshell Business Podcast. Visit amberhurdle.com for more resources and be sure to tune in again. Cheers to you, Bombshell.